Ever walk away from a conversation and spend the next hour or the entire night replaying every single word you said? Did I talk too much? Did I sound weird? Did they secretly think less of me? If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Between us, friend, anxiety doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers through your thoughts, looping the same worries like a broken record. And the worst part? You start thinking that this is just who you are, someone too sensitive, too intense, too much. But what if this mental noise isn't your personality? It's your anxiety trying to protect you from a threat that doesn't exist. Let's talk about the quiet ways anxiety can take over your mind, one thought at a time. Comportamento 1. Overthinking conversations. When your mind won't stop replaying what just happened, that joke you made, that pause before they responded, that text you sent without a smiley face. This isn't just overthinking, it's your brain on high alert. Anxiety convinces you that something went wrong, even when everything was fine. It hijacks your sense of reality. It makes you mistrust your own memories. It feeds you what-ifs that spiral into shame. Psychologists call this rumination, the obsessive review of past situations, often linked to a hyperactive amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for threat detection. In other words, your mind keeps looking for danger in conversations that already ended, as if one wrong word could mean rejection, humiliation, or abandonment. And the toll it takes is massive. You can't relax. You can't be present. You're constantly trying to fix things that aren't broken. Let's pause here for a second. If this feels painfully accurate, it's not because you're broken. It's because your mind is trying to protect you using outdated alarms. Alarms that were probably formed in moments when you did get hurt for being yourself. But you're not in that same place anymore, and not everyone is out to judge you. The truth? People forget most of what you say. They remember how you made them feel, and chances are you made them feel seen. You have things to do, deadlines, dreams, responsibilities. But instead of starting, you stare at the screen, scroll your phone, clean your room, anything but that one thing you said you'd do today. And deep down, you're not lazy. You want to get it done. You need to. But your body won't move. That paralysis, that resistance. It's not a flaw in your character. It's anxiety in disguise. Anxiety doesn't always show up as panic attacks. Sometimes it shows up as avoidance, because your brain has linked that task, the email, the application, the phone call, with failure, or judgment, or disappointment. So your nervous system says, let's not, let's stay safe. A 2016 study published in the Journal of Behavioral Therapy showed that people with high anxiety levels often delay tasks, not because they're unmotivated, but because their brains associate those tasks with fear of negative outcomes. So you wait, you distract, you punish yourself for not doing it, you wait some more, and the cycle feeds itself. Shame turns into fear, fear turns into more delay. Here's the truth. Procrastination is often a trauma response in disguise. It's your mind's way of protecting you from perceived emotional pain. But here's the other truth. You don't have to wait for the fear to go away before you act. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself is start messy, start scared, start imperfect. Because action quiets the voice of fear faster than waiting ever will. You're at dinner with people you love. There's laughter, warm food, a soft glow in the room. But your mind isn't there. You're scanning the future like a radar. What if this feeling doesn't last? What if something bad is about to happen? What if I lose all of this? Sound familiar? Anxiety doesn't let you feel safe in the now. It constantly pulls you into a future that hasn't happened and might never happen. Even in moments of joy, your nervous system is bracing for impact. It's like your brain is saying, don't get too comfortable, something always goes wrong. This isn't just a thought pattern. It's biology. Studies show that chronic anxiety activates the brain's default mode network, the part responsible for imagining future scenarios and potential threats. For anxious minds, this network is often overactive, even when nothing's wrong. That's why it's so hard to just be. You could be on vacation, lying on a beach, and your mind is still spinning. Did I lock the door? What if I lose my job? Is everyone okay back home? Anxiety steals the present and replaces it with endless rehearsals for a disaster that might not come. But here's what's beautiful. The present is always waiting for you. Not in some big dramatic way, but in small grounding ways. The weight of your body on the chair, the sound of your breath, the smell of coffee, the warmth of someone's voice saying your name. You don't have to escape the future to come back. You just have to notice now. One breath at a time, one gentle return, one moment where you say to yourself, I'm here, and right now, it's okay to be. You say yes when you're exhausted. You agree when you disagree. You stretch yourself thin, again, because you don't want to disappoint anyone. And maybe, on the outside, you look generous, reliable, easygoing. But inside, you're drowning. Anxiety often hides behind over-accommodation. It whispers things like, if I say no, they'll be mad. If I set a boundary, they'll leave. If I rest, I'm being selfish. Where does that come from? For many people, it's rooted in early experiences. Maybe growing up in an unpredictable home where love was conditional. Or in relationships where saying no came with guilt, anger, or emotional withdrawal. So now, your nervous system sees boundaries not as safety, but as danger. Your body tenses, your heart races, your brain shouts, just agree, it's safer that way. And here's the cost. Resentment builds, burnout creeps in. You forget what you need, what you want, what you feel. This is called fawning, a lesser-known trauma response where you please others to avoid conflict. It's a survival strategy, not a personality trait. The truth? Saying no is not rejection. It's self-recognition. Every time you honor your limit, you're not pushing people away. You're saying, I matter too, and the people who truly care, they won't punish you for protecting your peace. In fact, the more you practice small, honest no's, the more space you create for real, honest yeses. And that's where healing lives. You pick up your phone, scroll, swipe, scroll again. You open the fridge, not because you're hungry, just restless. You start a new show, even though you weren't really watching the last one. These moments seem small, harmless. But over time, they add up. Because sometimes, distractions aren't about boredom, they're about escape. When your mind is filled with anxiety, silence becomes unbearable. Stillness feels like danger, so you keep moving, keep watching, keep consuming. It's not that you don't want peace, it's that peace feels unsafe when your inner world is loud. This behavior is called emotional numbing, and it's a common response to chronic anxiety. Your brain learns to protect you from discomfort by tuning it out, with noise, dopamine, anything that makes the moment feel less raw. A 2018 study in behavioral neuroscience found that people with high anxiety often engage in what researchers call avoidant self-regulation, using distractions to manage overwhelming emotional states. But here's the hard part. What numbs your pain also numbs your joy. You stop feeling the depth of your emotions, all of them. You become a spectator in your own life, and over time that numbness turns into loneliness. But this doesn't mean you're weak. It means your nervous system has been trying to shield you from what it thinks you can't handle. And healing isn't about giving up all distractions overnight. It's about noticing them. It's about pausing and asking, what am I avoiding right now? What feeling am I afraid to feel? Because every time you choose presence, even for one breath, you reconnect with your power. Not the loud, dramatic kind, the quiet kind that says, I'm still here, I'm still real. I can feel this and survive. You sleep 8 hours, you take breaks, you cancel plans to rest. And still, you wake up tired, Not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually. It's a kind of exhaustion that sleep can't touch. And if you've been living with anxiety for a while, you know exactly what that feels like. Because when your brain is in survival mode, even rest becomes work. Your nervous system is always scanning. Is everything okay? Did I forget something? What if something goes wrong tomorrow? This constant vigilance keeps your body tense and your mind buzzing, even in bed. Research from Harvard Medical School shows that anxiety can disrupt both the quality and depth of sleep. Even when you fall asleep, your brain may remain semi-alert, cycling between shallow sleep and micro-awakenings. So you wake up feeling like you ran a marathon overnight. This isn't laziness, it's burnout, emotional fatigue, hyperarousal dressed up as being responsible. And over time, this kind of fatigue starts to chip away at everything. Your creativity, your patience, your ability to feel joy or connection. But here's what no one tells you. Real rest isn't just about closing your eyes. It's about safety. It's about permission. It's about telling your nervous system, you can let go now. You don't have to carry this alone anymore. True rest comes from moments when your body and mind feel aligned. When you're not punishing yourself for slowing down. When you allow softness, even when the world feels sharp. And you deserve that kind of rest, not just once in a while, but as a way of life. If you saw yourself in any of these behaviors, I want you to hear this clearly. You're not broken. You're not weak. You're carrying a nervous system that's been in survival mode for way too long. Anxiety isn't just about fear. It's about protection. Your mind is trying to shield you from rejection, from pain, from uncertainty. But sometimes, the shield becomes the prison. And the first step to healing is noticing, naming, and giving yourself the compassion you've been withholding. Because underneath the overthinking, the procrastination, the numbness and fatigue, there's still you, still worthy, still whole, still here. You don't have to fix everything today. You just have to choose one gentle shift. Start with a breath. Start by saying no when you mean it. Start by letting yourself feel, even just a little. You're not alone in this. Which of these signs hit you the hardest? Is there one behavior you've been silently living with for years? Share your story in the comments, not just for you, but for someone else reading who needs to know they're not alone. And tell us where you're watching from. Let's turn this into a space of real connection.